drag it. They know they're in a bad situation. They really need to dig in here in the next minute or two to make a difference to how this race is going to turn out.
And it is a surprise as we listen to Liz Box trying to drive her crew on, asking for a big push because the experience is there. The Hardy Kubash and Nelson Internationals world champion Kubash and Nash and Roth and Rasmussen, winners from last year. They had all the confidence, but they are being comfortably outrode at the moment.
This has been a great move. The strong point about this Oxford crew is they've been really trained physiologically to develop real endurance, because last year they were caught out. This year they've really worked very hard on that endurance. It's paying off here. They're not going to get pulled back because they're a very, very fit crew.
Past the thin, slender island of Chiswick. And Sam Winterlevy asking for a further squeeze from his 8. And the flotilla of craft chasing on behind, churning up the water. But look at the gap between Oxford, less fancied, and the favourites Cambridge. And can the light blues? It would be a remarkable turnaround if they could come back from here. But the Oxford president, Ben Myers, sunglasses on his head, who was in the losing boat last year, and Alec Denton, Ben Ellison, Carl Hudspeth, the tallest man, and Constantine Louloudis, George Whittaker and Simon Hislop are doing everything that is being asked of them and more.
So remorseless, both crews now at 34 strokes a minute, 34.5 strokes a minute. Really very, very strong in this second half. They're past halfway, they're coming up to the last bit of advantage of the Surrey side. The advantage has to move to the right-hand side, to the Middlesex side, but it's of no consequence anymore because Oxford can choose whichever way they want to go on the way home. They can choose their route.
It's so hard for Cambridge because when there's no overlap, you can't see and can't believe that you might bring things back. Let's listen to Liz Box again.
Now we go 1%, 10 to 10, 10 hook. Now hook, flow, hook, flow, hook, flow, hook, flow.
The voice of Liz Box, and she is the only one who can encourage her crew that there is still a chance, still hope of closing this gap. She can see Oxford, they cannot. And there are the times to Chiswick Steps, and a 7-second lead for Oxford, which is a big lead indeed.
That's 9:58. That's very, very fast. That was the record time, but 11:47.
Well, that equals the record time, yes. Cambridge in 98, 9 minutes 58. So an amazing pace being set by the Dark Blues.
They've got 7 minutes to go. You can see now just up ahead, the big corner now, starting on the Middlesex side, on the right-hand side. But it's now nearly 3 lengths that Oxford are leading. They're taking a slightly tighter line on the corner there. But Cambridge have a lot to do here.
Good.
And I think you'll find that after last year, where Oxford really had started as favourites and got caught at Hammersmith Bridge, that was not going to happen again.
Back down to Wayne Pommen once more.
This is where it gets very difficult for Cambridge right now. They're at that stage where the crew in front of them has so much gap that they can't hear them anymore. They can't tell how close they are. It gets very demoralizing. As far as they know, Oxford could be a mile in front. The only thing they have to go on is relying on the Cox, Liz Box, to tell them that maybe they still have a chance. So they really need to dig in here in the next 2 minutes if they're going to have any chance.
So the houses in the front of Barnes hove into view, and there is the gap. Up towards the bandstand on the right-hand side, heading in towards the latter stages of the race, and it's grim work for Cambridge indeed, and Liz Box trying to do her best, but that gap is not closing. If anything, it's getting a little bit wider.
And Oxford at 32 strokes a minute, with 4 minutes to go from the bandstand there. They're at 32 strokes a minute, Cambridge at 34 strokes a minute, trying to do more there, but there's just good power coming down from the Oxford boat, which is giving them a lot of travel there. Interesting, this will be the first time that boat race could be won by a crew with a tandem rig there, which people were questioning the choice of this tandem rig, where you've got 4 and 5 on the same side there on bow side, and then the bowman, who is a normal stroke side rower, sitting at bow rowing on the stroke side up in the bow seat. That's unusual, and it's obviously had a very, very important effect.
the difference between the two crews. Again, the noise of the crowd roars them on, but all the cheers are coming from those who favour the dark blue, because Oxford are in control as they head towards Barnesbridge. Both crews have to shoot the central arch of Barnesbridge, and only a couple of crews have come from behind at Barnesbridge, but nobody from this lead that Oxford have built, and they are heading towards victory. Barely 3/4 of a mile to go from Barnes Railway Bridge, and Oxford sail serenely, it seems, through the central span.
3 minutes to go from the bridge here, 3 minutes to go. It'll be glorious for Oxford, but even, you know, when you're in the boat, you're just thinking, make sure no mistakes, no mistakes. The worry is that you might start to feel that you've got it won and you don't really have to think about it anymore. Every bit of focus will be in this boat for this last 2 3/4 minutes.
And listen to the noise from the crowd as they have sat and waited for the two main crews to come past, and they see Oxford sail past, and then 8 seconds later, Cambridge. It has been an utterly dominant performance from the Dark Blues, and for Cambridge, in pain. It is only pain for them. For Oxford there is pain, but the knowledge that they are going to win once again. For Cambridge it is just hard work. Their bodies telling them to stop, and they don't believe they can close the gap. They can't now. The victory is coming. Chiswick Bridge is calling for them, beckoning them home.
Minute and a half to go. They're halfway around this corner. A minute and a half to go. Oxford are at a very, very cool 34 strokes a minute. Cambridge at 36, still fighting very bravely to try and get back on terms. But the power is in this Oxford crew, and it's been remorseless. Right the way through this race, they've just opened up all the way through the race, and really got that lead at before Hammersmith Bridge and just improved on it.
Oxford then heading towards victory. It is all but certain. There is Chiswick Bridge at the top of your picture, and the finish line sits just before that. The brewery on the left-hand side, and Sam Winterlevy does his work again, shouting, not letting up. They will not let up, Oxford. This has been a race, a performance of utter control. Power from the start. They didn't go out too quickly though. They've had plenty left in reserve. Not one of the closest races, but one of the finest performances we have seen from any crew. They have kept Cambridge at bay.
Interestingly, that Oxford have stayed quite wide around this last corner. On the left-hand side, they've taken the corner quite wide. Cambridge have closed in onto that station very much, onto that side of the river, and it's this really now into the last minute as they move into the finishing line.
Cambridge still with a slightly higher stroke rate, but into the final straight they come. And the pace, of course, from Oxford has dropped slightly. Hunched figures, tired, but the job is almost done. And the gap remains a considerable lead. It's going to be a handsome victory for Oxford. They began the race less fancied, but as it went on, they simply grew in strength. And after defeat last year in 2011, the Thames belongs to Oxford. To them, the victory, the smiles, the celebrations, the spoils, everything is theirs. And Cambridge have what is left. Utterly dominated from start to finish.
And we're about four lengths, about 14 seconds there to Oxford. But it was a fine performance right from the start. There was some really mature rowing from much younger guys. 3 undergraduates there in the boat.
Well, in the echoes beneath Chiswick Bridge they collapse, but it is a joyful collapse for Alec Dent, for Ben Myers, for Moritz Hafner. And the cries of celebration are the cruelest sound for Cambridge, because they were utterly outclassed today.